Hello, everyone, and thank God it's Friday. Good evening to our viewers, and thank you for spending your Friday night with us. Good morning and good afternoon also to our listeners who are tuning in from different parts of the world. Welcome to the 32nd episode of ang show na walang title pero hashtag Satin ang eleksyon. Hashtag Satin because we advocate for a safe, accountable, transparent, and inclusive elections which inspire national public confidence. This will be our first episode for the month of August, and because of this, we have invited extra special and remarkable guests tonight. I am Alexa, and I will be your host for tonight. I would also like to introduce the producer of the show, the Legal Network for Truthful Elections, which is a non-partisan nationwide network of lawyers, law students, paralegals, and grassroots volunteers engaged to do election work. Bago muna tayo magsimula, sana ay nakapagparehistro na ang ating mga kabataan at heart para sa darating na barangay at sangguniang kabataan elections ngayong Disyembre. Gusto din namin i-acknowledge ang nalalapit na linggo ng kabataan na may tema Intergenerational Solidarity, Creating a World for All Ages. Ang tema ngayong taon ay para bigyan diin ang mensahe patungkol sa collective action across all generations upang matiyak ang sustainable at equitable development para sa lahat. Without further ado, our episode tonight will discuss the experiences of our social media platforms during the 2022 national and local elections, especially because they have played huge roles in terms of providing wider access to election-related information. Thus, for tonight, we are giving or providing a platform for platforms to share to the public what they have done in relation to the recently concluded elections and what they are planning to do in future electoral exercises. Actually, this is a part 2 of our 26th episode which aired last April 18. So if you haven't watched it, you may revisit the episode in our Facebook and YouTube pages. I would like to introduce our guest. Our first distinguished guest is a Philippine qualified lawyer who is Twitter's lead for public policy and partnerships in the Philippines and supports other Southeast Asian markets. Prior to working at Twitter, Ms. Say Salvador was an active litigator handling criminal, civil, and administrative cases as well as corporate dispute resolutions. She taught at the Ateneo de Manila University School of Law and Ateneo de Davao University. Ms. Say also previously worked on international human rights advocacy and developmental lawyering. She advised various international and local NGOs, government agencies, and community stakeholders on legal, policy, and regulatory issues, particularly as these intersect with human rights. Say is an advocate for women's rights and gender issues, free speech, and digital rights. Aside from English, Say is a native Filipino and Cebuano speaker and is conversant in Hiligaynon and Hokkien. Hi, Miss Say.
Hello, hi, magandang gabi sa lahat. Sana my internet holds up. Ang lakas ng ulan.
Yes. Okay, I'll introduce our second guest. Our second distinguished guest is Mr. Christopher Toff Rada, who is the head of public policy for TikTok Philippines, where he leads TikTok's corporate engagement with government and external stakeholders. Previously, he also held leadership roles in various industries such as food and beverage, water, and media. He graduated from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where he obtained his Bachelor of Arts degree in Sociology and his Juris Doctor degree in Law. He has also completed executive education courses from the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy and the Columbia Business School. Hi, Sir Toff.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Alexa. Good evening, Say. Good evening sa lahat ng nanonood. Hope everyone's keeping safe and dry on this rainy Friday evening.
Okay, so before we go straight to the show, we would like to invite our audience to also join the discussion, your thoughts by sending your thoughts or messages to our hotlines on your screens and by using the hashtag Satin ang eleksyon. We are also live on Lenta's Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts and to our different partners' accounts or pages on Facebook, which you will find below. So we are also live in YouVote, Positive Vibes, Now You Know, in defense of human rights and dignity movement, Community Access Team for the Deaf on COVID-19, Tayo Nak Laboratory for Young Leaders of Democracy, Lentes Chapter Pages, Active Vista, Tara Takbo, Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan, Association of Law Students of the Philippines, National Sanggunian ng mga mag-aaral ng mga paralang Loyola ng Ateneo de Manila, Hirayang Kabataan at MICA Philippines. Do not forget to like and share our episode tonight and use the hashtag atin ang election. Okay, so hi Sir Toff, hi Miss Say. Kumusta po kayo? Maybe you would like to introduce your organizations or what you're currently doing. Maybe Miss Say can go first.
Hello, okay. Hi everyone. Of course, I represent Twitter. I'm based here in Metro Manila at malakas-lakas yung ulan, so I hope my internet holds up and I apologize in advance if I will have to mute myself because of coughing fits. So, Twitter is what's happening. You can go and tweet your thoughts, your views, your opinions, no? And Twitter is different from other social network service. Here you can share a limited number of characters through tweets, but we also have different features for you to be able to share your message. Meron din kaming mga videos, ganon. So, meron din kami Twitter Spaces, and I hope you check more of it sa twitter.com and see you on Twitter because it's what's happening. Thank you.
Sir Toff? What's TikTok currently up to?
Well, more of the same, really. I think a lot of us know TikTok as that fun place for creative expression. A lot of the trending sounds and trending hashtags, dance challenges, for instance, diyan naman nakilala yung TikTok, no? And rightfully so, because TikTok is primarily an entertainment platform. Having said that, we are also a venue for a lot of creative and genuine expressions online. So marami tayong all sorts of different creators and different types of videos you see on TikTok. But I think fundamentally we still remain true, to the mission of the company, which is to inspire creativity and bring joy. So yan pa rin. I think yan pa rin talaga ang trust natin sa lahat ng markets na nandun ng TikTok, including the Philippines.
Okay, so yun nga, according to our guests, really these platforms really aim to honor people's freedom of expression, and it's currently their trust. But also we recognize that these platforms have also played fundamental roles in terms of the recently concluded national and local elections. So prior to the 2022 NLE, also we had you in the show and we discussed your internal policies, standards, initiatives, projects to minimize the propagation of disinformation in your platforms, especially as they relate to the elections. To the benefit of our listeners who probably were not able to listen to our previous episode, and as well as to our listeners who need a refresher of your platform's initiatives, please share us these activities, and maybe you can share to us the challenges that you have encountered in implementing these said projects and initiatives. Maybe Sir Toff, you can go first.
Sure, Alexa. So just to recap briefly what we mentioned during the last time we joined your episode, we had a two-pronged strategy for the elections, right? On one side, we actively made sure that misinformation was moderated properly and kept off the TikTok platform. We did that two ways: by artificial intelligence, machine moderation, and on the other hand, we also had human moderation. So we had a dedicated trust and safety team who was regularly sweeping the platform away from harmful misinformation, as well as responding to a lot of the reports from the users. So that was very, very valuable. We also worked very closely with some fact-checking firms, both abroad and here in the Philippines, to help us ensure that we were making these decisions correctly. We also had some media partners who were sharing information based on what they were seeing, and we acted upon a lot of these materials as well. The other half of that is building credible sources of information. So hindi lang kami nagtatanggal ng misinformation, we also ensure na meron ding credible sources of information sa platform. So meron nga kaming ginawang partnership with the Commission on Elections. So for those na nasa TikTok nung panahon ng eleksyon, makikita nyo na doon sa landing page ng TikTok, merong banner doon. It was an election hub that was actually a co-sponsored project between TikTok and the COMELEC, wherein we put in credible election information officially from the Commission on Elections para alam ng mga tao, for instance, yung official list of candidates, the pertinent dates, pati yung precinct finder, nung in-upload yun ng COMELEC, nilagay din namin doon para makatulong sa mga tao na mahanap yung presinto nila kung saan sila boboto. Kasama din nun, nakipagtulungan kami sa mga media agencies. So we onboarded, I think, almost all of the major media outfits in the country on TikTok in time for the elections to ensure that there was credible content on the platform. And we had one specific partnership with GMA7 wherein they actually did some activations, no? Yung parang they had some quizzes on the TikTok platform to help increase the knowledge of the TikTok users heading into the elections. And nag-participate din kami doon sa parang election series nila wherein we talk to first-time voters and university students about how you can detect and help fight fake news, no? Offline and online. So yun yung siguro yung mga in broad strokes. Siguro pag-usapan natin mamaya kung anong ginagawa natin post-election. But yun muna yung ginagawa namin before and during the elections.
Okay. Missy, maybe you can also refresh the audience about Twitter's initiatives and projects for the 2022 NLE.
Okay, thank you. I hope my internet holds up, no? So, for Twitter, no, during the months leading to the 2022 national local elections, we partnered also with COMELEC and other non-profit organizations, tulad na lamang no, ng Lente. Now, bakit kami nag-partner? Because we want to promote healthy conversations on the service. Actually, this is part one of what we call the 3 Ps of Twitter during elections. Una na dito ay ang partnership, at pangalawa ay ang policies and then ang products. Now, through our partnerships, we were able to strengthen our relationships with our non-profit partners and to strategize how we can help them to amplify their work. And we've also supported them to educate the voters on the election process, also fight against misinformation, and definitely to continue to foster healthy conversations around election-specific issues. Now, meron kaming voter education campaign with Plan International and their Ihalalan 2022 coalition. This is with the different organizations focusing on girls' rights, and also with COMELEC. Now, we've also been able to grant pro bono ads credits to our different partner NGOs to help them amplify their work on Twitter. And speaking of policies naman, these allow us to protect the integrity of the election conversation and allow us to work transparently. Now, during the election season, we were able to provide proactive enforcement and to support to safeguard conversations surrounding the elections. Now, in terms of our products naman, anticipating an increase in election-specific conversations, we launched several of these. And aside from those election-related emojis that you've seen widely on Twitter, our conversations on Twitter Spaces were also widely used by our different non-profit partners. For example, in several Spaces conversation, Hinamfrel, they talked about their work and other election-related issues. Lente, the organization, was also able to do this. And we've also partnered, I mentioned about the Ihalalan Coalition, no? This is to talk about young girls' rights and the legislative agenda for girls. I also want to mention a first in the Philippines for Twitter, no? This is what we call the branded subscription or the heart to subscribe. So when you heart a certain tweet posted by COMELEC in Twitter Philippines, you will be subscribed. You will receive certain tweets on scheduled dates reminding you about issues related to the elections, like reminders of when to vote, ganon, from COMELEC. And meron din kami yung voter education quiz. And I also want to mention about yung hashtag There Is Help namin, a notification service. So when you go to the search bar sa Twitter, you type something about the election, magpa-prompt sa inyo yung sources na provided by COMELEC. So we provided that during the election. So yun yung from Twitter. Thank you. Back to you, Alexa.
Okay, thank you po. So, parang both TikTok and Twitter pala, we're active partners of the Commission and Elections, and these led to a lot of activities, really. But also, one of your initiatives actually, based on our last conversation on our previous episode, was to limit political advertisements and boosting of political posts and pages really on your platforms. So for our viewers who were not able to tune in last time, can you tell us about this rationale, the rationale of this policy of banning political advertisements in your platforms? Do you think this will change or not change anytime soon, or do you still recognize the value of this policy, especially in terms of promoting healthy and democratic discourse on your platforms? Maybe Miss Say, you can go first.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Alexa. Now, speaking of political advertising, Twitter has banned political advertising since 2019. No? This is because we believe primarily that political reach should be earned and not bought. And for some time now, we have encouraged a more inclusive approach to political ad regulation. Now, although political advertisements are not allowed, we gave a training for political candidates and their representatives with the assistance of the COMELEC, and shared back best practices on how they can leverage Twitter for their advocacies. With the diverse communities that we have on Twitter in the Philippines, Twitter serves as a great avenue for candidates to connect and definitely engage with their constituents wherever they are, because we say in Twitter, we're live, we're public, and we're conversational. So candidates can host conversations on Twitter Spaces, they tweet about their work, they conduct Q&As with their supporters on Twitter via tweets, and also they may tweet live videos to definitely further drive their engagement. Some examples of what we've seen on Twitter done by hindi naman necessarily related to the election, but used by our officials. We have yung kay dating former Vice President Leni Robredo on her initiatives for COVID patients, especially leading to the elections kasi madaming mga taong nag-gather. And then also the learning continuity innovation from former Mayor Isko Moreno. So nakita natin yun doon sa Twitter. And I just want to emphasize talaga, like you asked us kanina, tell something about your service. So Twitter, again, is what's happening and what people are talking about in real time. So people on Twitter, they come to Twitter because they want to keep abreast. They want to know ano yung latest. So to be on Twitter definitely means to be fully engaged with your audience in conversations that matter to them.
Okay. Sir Toff, maybe I can repeat the question po. So, previously in our conversation, you also shared to us that TikTok has banned political advertisements on its platforms. What is the rationale of this policy? Do you think it will change anytime soon? And do you still recognize its value in terms of promoting healthy discourse?
Sure. Thanks, Alexa. You're correct. TikTok does not allow. It bans political advertisements. Not only that, we don't boost any political content as well. And there's a reason for that. Sinabi ko nga at the top of our show that TikTok is primarily an entertainment platform. And we feel like these sort of advertisements do not add to the community that we want to build on TikTok. We want to build a community where people express genuine expressions of whatever, whether it's political content or whether it's dances or cooking tips. What's important for us is its authentic expressions of our users, right? So we feel like if you put in advertisements of politicians or political parties or advocacies, it definitely does not align with what we want to happen. So to your second point, I think it's going to stay. I don't see any reason why we will deviate from that policy. And we will continue to encourage people to put up content. I think just to track back to how we treat politicians on the platform, we don't treat them any differently from any ordinary user. They're subject to the same rules, to community guidelines that are applied to everyday users. And we have actually stressed that to all the verified politicians on the platform, right? So if they want to, trend on the platform, then basically have to do the same thing as any ordinary creator. There are no advantages that we give to them. They are free to come on TikTok and put up their material, but we will not in any way try to boost or accept their ads, whether it's during the elections or after the elections.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Toff. Just a follow-up question, and also in relation to what Ms. Say has said a while ago about their inclusive approach to political ads by helping teaching candidates and their campaign teams to leverage Twitter. We acknowledge that that TikTok has also been penetrated with a lot of political content and election-related stories and content. Can you tell us more about how candidates were able to utilize and trend on your platforms? Did TikTok also probably parang made a similar approach as Twitter did in terms of political content or election-related content on your platforms?
I would say there might be some distinct differences between us and other platforms, including Twitter, for instance, because, like I said, we don't see ourselves as the venue for divisive political discussion, right? We see ourselves as more of the fun, happy, creative place for people to express themselves. So I think that's also why a lot of the political actors who were on the platform also veered their content slightly for TikTok, right? And you would notice that the political content, if you call it, because they were made by political actors and politicians, had badges of creativity or fun on the TikTok platform. I think they recognized that sort of thing was the type of content that resonated to the community within TikTok. So ibang-iba yung makikita mo na behavior ng mga politiko. I think nabanggit ko nga sa isang interview. Alam mo, kung TikTok ang naging basehan ng eleksyon, ibang presidente natin ngayon. Right? Kung titingnan mo kung sino yung pinakamaraming nilalabas na content at kung sino yung pinakamaraming followers sa mga tumakbong pagka-presidente, iba ang nag-swear in noong June 30. No? So it tells you really that it wasn't that, while I know that there was a lot of things that have been written about TikTok being a place for political content, I think they should look at it rather closely and see how the platform was used specifically, right? It was very, very different in terms of the approach and in terms of their understanding of what worked on the TikTok platform.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Toff. To Miss Say, I'll go back to Miss Say. Miss Say, can you tell us more about the types of reports, probably if you were able to receive reports during the height of the 2022 NLE? And what is the review process of Twitter in terms of handling these reports?
Okay, thank you for the question. No? So Twitter during the elections, even before the elections, no, always naman yan, no, we review misinformation reports and we definitely take action against misleading tweets. Now, we get to misleading tweets kasi people can report misleading tweets, or we use a combination of human and machine learning to review any of the tweets that may have possibly violated the Twitter rules and policies. So, ganon yung mga nangyayari, ganon yung mga nakukuha namin na report. And gaya siguro ng different na mga services, no? Combination talaga yan siya ng human and machine learning to review these reports. So, yun.
Okay. Curious question lang din. Pero was there po parang, were you able to receive a lot of reports? Parang before ba or during? Kailan yung surge ng reports?
I don't have that data, no?
Oh, okay.
It's not available to me. Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you. Let's say, Sir Toff, were you also able to receive reports then in TikTok during or probably before the elections?
Yes. From ordinary users, from media entities, a lot of our fact-checking partners. But I think what I want to stress here, Alexa, and this is something a lot of people don't see and probably don't know about. We recently released our transparency report for the first half of 2022. And base doon sa data na nakuha namin, lumalabas na, as you know, we have community guidelines, right? And that is the bedrock, that's the foundation of these standards that we apply on the platform. Kasama dun sa mga prohibited acts, according to our community guidelines, are harmful misinformation. That includes election mis and disinformation. Now, based on the data on that transparency report, 94% of these violations were taken down before anyone even saw them. No? So which tells us that there's a lot of activity that happens on the back end that a lot of people don't see, right? Kasi hindi na lumalabas sa mga feeds nila yan. And that credit goes to the hard work that our trust and safety team has been doing to sweep our platform before anyone even sees it, right? And it's the remainder that people get to see. And if it's truly violative, people get to report that or nare-report ng mga partners namin. No? So it was truly a collaborative effort, no, during the elections. Having said that, it's still a whole lot of
Yes.
work. I'd be the first one to say na it wasn't the perfect system. No? Talagang there were still things that slipped through the cracks. So kaya nga I think moving forward, we are working on mechanisms both on platform and off platform to help improve the way we do things. Kasi to note, this is actually the first election na nakapag-participate ang TikTok here in the Philippines. No? So there were a lot of learnings also for us that we will apply, no, for future elections here in the Philippine market.
Okay, thank you. Sort of, let me say, Lente actually drafted a technical paper that aims to address this information specifically on social media platforms by regulating the trolling behavior of users. So actually, this is a work in progress, and we're still exploring because the many facets of this problem. So the idea is we impose a more stringent account verification process purposely to regulate the trolling behaviors. But in relation to this, can we know if you have initiatives to lessen the existence of trolling activities on your platform, or meron ba, madami ba trolls na nakita nyo na trolling behavior on your platforms? Maybe we can start po with Nisei.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, Twitter has been addressing the important issue of what you refer to as trolls. But there is some troll-like behavior that may be fun, that may be good, may be humorous. Pero for Twitter, we address the troll-like behaviors that distort and they detract from the public conversation, particularly in communal areas sa Twitter, such as the conversations and then the search bar. And some of the accounts, these violate our policies. And when that happens, we take action on them. Others don't, but they behave in ways that they may distort the conversation. Kaya we really have to act on it. To put this into context, there are less than 1% of accounts that make up the majority of accounts reported for abuse. But a lot of what's reported to us, they don't necessarily violate the Twitter rules. Still, despite the small number, these accounts they have a disproportionately large and negative impact sa experience ng people on Twitter. Kaya, syempre, ina-actionan siya. So, one challenge for Twitter has been on how we can proactively address these disruptive behaviors that at first blush may not, they may not necessarily violate our policies, but they negatively impact the health of the conversation. So, in terms of response, I want to talk extensively about troll-like behavior kasi we've never talked about this in the first part, So, our response is that we use the policies, we use human review processes, and we use machine learning to help us determine how these tweets are organized, how they're presented in communal places like conversations and search. And we are also tackling issues of behavior that distort and detract from the public conversation in these communal areas, these communal places, by integrating new behavioral signals into how tweets are presented. Because of these tools, by ginagamit namin yung tools niya to address this conduct from a behavioral perspective, no, ang effect niyan ay we're able to improve the health of the conversation and everyone's experience talaga on Twitter without waiting for people who use Twitter to actually report potential issues to us. And the signals we take in, these are not mostly visible externally. Hindi siya nakikita. Anong example nito? Ang example nito ay these may include if an account has not confirmed their email address, or let's say if the same person, they sign up for multiple accounts simultaneously, di ba? Madaming gumagawa ng ganon. Or an account that repeatedly tweets and mentions accounts that don't follow them, di ba? Yun yung mga troll-like behavior natin. Or meron ding behavior that they may indicate na para bagang merong coordinated attack. So kami naman, tinitingnan namin, we look at how these tweets connect, how these accounts are connected, para makita namin, no, kung ano yung extent ng violations nila sa rules namin at paano sila nag-interact. So, gaya ng sabi ko, hindi nakikita to publicly, pero tinitingnan ng different teams namin. So, meron din kami, no, para ma-address yung mga troll-like behavior na ganyan. So, we have introduced the safety mode sa Twitter. Itong safety mode na ito, if na-explore ninyo ito, these allow people on Twitter para ma-temporarily block yung mga accounts for up to 7 days for, you know, like for potentially harmful language, like insults or hateful remarks, or even yung mga nagsisend ng mga repetitive and uninvited replies and mentions. So, learn on mo ito sa settings ninyo, ang systems namin, they will assess the livelihood of a negative engagement by considering both the tweet's content and of course the relationship between the tweet author and the replier. So ito yung mga ginagamit namin na pamaraan, no, para ma-address din yung troll-like behavior on Twitter. So back to you. Medyo mababa yun pero hopefully address namin.
But actually that's
hindi na pag-usapan ito nung nakaraan, di ba? Buti na
okay. Yes. Actually, this is actually the very purpose of our show, to let the public know what's happening behind the scenes, basically. And also to our viewers, meron na pala tayong safety mode on Twitter, so maybe we can leverage that, especially if we want to, of course, make our experience in these platforms more positive. Sir Toff, punta po tayo sa inyo. Do you want me to repeat the question or you're okay na?
No, it's okay. It's okay. But I'll be honest, Alexa, I actually haven't read that position paper from Lente, and I'll be very happy to look at it if you could send it to me so I could review. But I would assume that if the definition of trolling is consistent with what online platforms understand as coordinated inauthentic behavior, I think that is the industry-wide term for trolling, then I think we're aligned. Na bawal din yan. According to our community guidelines, it's very clear-cut that this form of behavior, this coordinated inauthentic behavior, is one of those things that we do not allow on the platform and we police. As a matter of fact, during the course of this election, marami na rin kaming natanggal, katulad na nabanggit ko sa iyo kanina na part of that 94% that was moderated in the back end before anyone got to see it. And we also worked a lot with some of the media, credible media agencies who would send us reports. And we would act upon it. No, they would send us like an Excel file of suspicious accounts that seem to engage in this sort of behavior, and we have actioned on them once you receive it. I think just the tricky part here is I think we just really have to strike a balance between those who engage in trolling behavior and those who are engaged in genuine expressions of political opinion. I think that is the one na kailangan talaga nating pag-aralan, no? Kasi madali naman yung mga patent forms of disinformation. Nakikita mo naman na walang ginawa kundi mag-comment lang ng iisang bagay. No, that's clearly a sign of trolling behavior, and that's easy to action upon. What's difficult to action upon, and we've noticed this, is some of these political operators have upgraded a bit and now have engaged in a bit more sophisticated form of online behavior when it comes to elections. So I think that is the next stage by which we should all work together and try to figure out how do we address that moving of the goalpost, so to speak. Because I think even the political operators have understood that the platforms now have policies against clear-cut forms of trolling. So now that they have adjusted, we have to adjust as well. And this is going to be a continuous process, right? Every time we catch that sort of behavior, they will adjust, and it's like a race that has no finish line. So we just have to keep on working on this to come up with a way to ensure that the credibility of our electoral process is not impaired. So we would be very happy. TikTok would be very happy to work with groups like Lente and trying to form a policy for future elections na magagamit talaga natin para maiwasan yung mga ganitong klaseng behaviors.
Okay, thank you, Sir Toph. We will definitely share to you our draft technical paper, and we look forward to also reading TikTok's transparency report last elections. Okay, we're down to our last question. Actually, so post elections naman, what initiatives can we look forward to from Twitter and TikTok after the 2022 NLE, especially that we have the upcoming December barangay and SK elections? Hopefully it doesn't get postponed again. Missy, maybe you want to go first?
Okay, thank you. Here at Twitter, we are committed to facilitating meaningful political debate, driving civic participation, and of course, protecting the integrity of the election conversation from interference and manipulation. And we will continue to work with our trusted NGO partners tulad na lamang ng Lente, ng NAMFREL, ng Plan International, at syempre naman ng COMELEC on our products and policies. Kung ma-remember mo, Alexa, sa Lente, nagkakaroon tayo ng ongoing conversations pre at post-election, yung mga different events sa Philippines. So kahit ngayon, in between elections, pag-uusapan pa rin natin because importante siya na pag-usapan dahil it helps drive civic participation, At sa ibang organizations naman, nagkakaroon kami ng mga training at nagbibigay din kami ng mga pro bono ads credit para naman ma-amplify nila yung work nila sa Twitter pag-usapan about mga issues na relevant for Philippine voters. Kasi kahit naman hindi election, marami pa ring issues na relevant for everyone, 'di ba? So, excited kami na ipagpatuloy yon to work with these partners na magkaroon ng more spaces conversation kasi nakita natin na may uptick talaga ng spaces conversation sa Twitter leading before or after the election. So patuloy kami sa pagsuporta sa pag-strengthen ng civic conversation at civic participation sa Twitter, lalo-lalo na dito sa Pilipinas. So usap tayo about dyan, Alexa, at ng Lente, So yon.
Okay po. We look forward to that, Missy. Sir Toph?
Yep. I think after the elections, nakita natin na siguro ang pinakamalaking issue na naging front and center para sa mga online platforms itong issue ng mis and disinformation or fake news. And lahat ng mga online platforms, naging problema yan during the elections, right? So I think one of the first things that we did post-election is to roll out what we call the Digital Literacy Hub. This is actually an initiative we have across Southeast Asia, and it's tailor-fit to address the various issues within a specific market dito sa Southeast Asia. And here in the Philippines, because we saw that was the biggest issue post-elections, we have chosen to focus the Digital Literacy Hub on mis and disinformation. Meron yung specific parang may dedicated hub din kami sa TikTok for Digital Literacy Hub. May dedicated hashtag pa nga yan, hashtag think before you do. And we try to encapsulate this program in 4 basic letters. STDA, stop, think, decide, and act. Basically, that is our simple guide for people pag nakakakita sila ng fake news or tingin nila fake news, no? Kasi we realized that this is really, I think nabanggit ko na rin to ng first episode, that the problem of fake news is really a multi-sectoral problem that requires a multi-sectoral solution. Of course, the online platforms will do our share. We will take down content. We will try to build credible sources of content together with the news partners, together with our NGO partners, together with government, right? But ultimately, each and every one of us at an individual level also has to play a crucial role here. And fundamentally, the building block of that is critical thinking. All of us have to be equipped with that critical thinking skill so that when we see some suspicious content on the platform, alam natin kung anong gagawin. I-share ko ba to? I-forward ko ba to sa mga contacts ko, right? And that's where we feel this guide, the stop, think, decide, and act guide becomes very useful because we just basically ask them to be more mindful about this content. So we ask them first to stop, then you think about it. No? Is there value in me actioning upon this piece of content? Pag shinare ko ba to? Makakatulong ba to? No? And then you decide, right? It's either you just leave it there or pwede i-report mo sa platform kung nakita mo na talagang patent form of disinformation or fake news siya. And that's how you act, no? STDA. No? So kaya I think nung start of July, may ginawa nga kaming live first time na nag-live tayo after the pandemic, no? May sinama kaming mga partners na, for example, yung internews.org na isa sa mga partners namin for fact-checking. Sinama namin to talk about what they're doing from their end. We included a organization called YouthLed.ph, no? Nakasama din ang Ateneo School of Government to talk about what they're doing to properly educate from the educational side, no? Para makatulong sa digital literacy. We also had one of our top creators, si Miss Mona Magnovelus, more known as Mighty Magulang on various platforms, no, who really talked about, as a creator, gave valuable tips, no, kung paano makaiwas at paano hindi tulungan yung mga trolls. Sinabi nga niya, one thing na tumatak sa akin, sinabi niya, do not feed these trolls, no? Kung alam mo na nga na mali yung sinasabi nila, wag mo nang gatungan. Wag ka nang mag-comment, wag mo nang i-share yung content nila kasi tinutulungan mo lang sila. No? I think that was very good insight coming from her also. And apart from that, she is also putting up very good content to fact check and to put up credible sources of information on her various platforms. No? So that is just one way by which we help, not just for this election, but for future elections. No? And of course, hindi din yung Digital Literacy Hub initiative na hindi lang exclusively for elections. No? As a matter of fact, tomorrow, I will be talking to some of our brothers and sisters from the Bangsamoro, the mga creators din, no? To help tackle naman some of the issues they have around mis and disinformation. So we hope that by activating this Digital Literacy Hub in the Philippines, we help in a broader sense build, number one, critical thinking skills among Filipinos, and also build digital literacy, wider awareness of digital literacy in our online spaces. No? So we're very happy. In the future, we can include Lente as well, no? in some of our activities for that.
Okay, Sir Top. We will definitely reach out to you after the show for future partnerships. Before we get last messages from our guests, we would like to remind everyone that we are live on Lente Philippines Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts, and to our different partners' accounts or pages, which you can find below. So you vote, positive vibes, now you know, in defense of human rights and dignity movement, community access team for the deaf, Tayo Na Collaboratory for young leaders of democracy, Lentes chapter pages, Active Vista, Tara Takbo, Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan, Association of Law Students of the Philippines, Sanggunian ng mga mag-aaral ng mga paaralang Loyola ng Ateneo de Manila, Hirayang Kabataan, at Micah Philippines. Okay, so last message, probably Sir Toff may say. Sir Toff, maybe you can go first to our audience.
Well, first of all, thank you again for inviting us. It's always a pleasure joining you guys here in the program. I think now that it's post-elections, now I think we really have to engage in, it's the perfect opportunity, I think, for us to really help develop the important skills that are required to be a responsible digital native. And TikTok would be very happy to help in that regard. Like I said, we do have the Digital Literacy Hub to help you, number one, to figure out what types of content are are fake news, what are not, what isn't. We will engage with some creators to also help promote that initiative. And obviously, at the end of it, all of us have a crucial role to play. So I think very appropriate yung hashtag din, no, for that campaign. Hashtag think before you do. Maraming salamat. Thank you for inviting, Alexa.
Thank you, sir. Miss Say?
Una sa lahat din, gusto ko magpasalamat sa Lente, no, for inviting us in the second phase of the show na walang title, specifically on the elections and talking about what we do as a social media service, no. Gaya ng lagi namin sinasabi sa Twitter, on Twitter, every year is an election year. At during elections, ang ginagawa namin is we surface the most credible election information, and we also encourage the public to participate in civic events. Now, dahil nga every year is an election and elections happen worldwide, no, we leverage all of the lessons that we gain from these different elections, no. Of course, para mas yumabong pa ang healthy conversations sa Twitter. At yun naman ang lagi namin pinoprotektahan. So, muli, maraming salamat sa Lente, no, na constant partner namin sa Twitter. Yun lamang po, magandang gabi.
Thank you, Miss Say. Thank you, Sir Toff, for joining us tonight. Thank you also to our viewers for tuning in. Speaking of the December 2022 Barangay and SK elections, we at Lente reiterate our position that we are saying no to the BSKE 2022 postponement, and the following organizations have supported our call: Ed Tuntayan Tao Organization, Sagisag Aranao, Association of Diverse Races of Youth, Core Organization, Iranun Youth Initiative, United Youth Action Group, Muslim Christian Youth Alliance for Progress, Bugasan Sur Youth Leaders Association, Ateneo Human Rights Center, Hirayang Kabataan, Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan, Ideals Lawyering for Development, Halalang Marangal, Uban Ko Coalition, Tampil Coalition, Lahok Coalition, Local Coalition, Manila Coalition, Iloilo Coalition, Kaugmaon Coalition, and all the other individuals who signed our petition at change.org. Gusto din namin po magpasalamat sa lahat ng partners, coalition members at kabataan na nakiindak sa TikTok Dance Challenge ng Lente, ang BSKE 2022 Push na Yarn para mas paingayin pa ang ating kampanya na No to BSKE 2022 postponement. You can still join the dance challenge and post it using the hashtag BSKE 2022 Push na Yarn. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga guests ngayong gabi. Para naman po sa ating mga taga-subaybay sa Facebook at YouTube, sana mas ma-encourage tayong maglingkod sa ating mga communities. Watch out for more ang show na walang title episodes every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Ang show na walang titles also on Spotify, so if you want to revisit our episodes are available on Spotify. Ang dati naman po nating radio show for persons with disabilities entitled Dapat Pwede ay magkakaroon, that's Dapat PWDE, Pwede ay magkakaroon ng Season 2 entitled Dapat Pwede naman, as in PWEDE, Dapat Pwede, and abangan ang mga susunod na episodes sa Oras ng Pilipinas, Dapat Pwede via FEBC Radio at Facebook Live tuwing first at fourth Friday ng buwan, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. simula August hanggang Disyembre ngayong 2022. Like our Facebook page, Lente Philippines, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok accounts, Lente_PH, and our website, visit our website at lente.org.ph. See you again sa susunod na Sa Atin ang Election Show. Magandang gabi po sa ating lahat.